All right, guys, so we're gonna do a chipping video today and do an overview of a chipping practice that I would normally go through in my regular practice. Big picture chipping wise, it still falls under the same categories of what I would do when I'm practicing my putting or my full swing. There's certain phases and an order of things that I want you to go through. I always want you to do the block, mechanical, fundamental stuff in the beginning when you train, and that's what I'm gonna do sort of as a warm up. And then as soon as I feel good with that or hit my number of repetitions, I'm gonna then go into my skill pieces. So after I do my mechanical, if you work with me or work with a coach, things that need to be in there for me to hit the ball solid over and over again. As soon as you get to that point, then I'm moving on to skill pieces. If you're not hitting them solid over and over, you need to stay in that phase until you're able to do that before you spend time doing what I'm going to show you here. Now, my skill pieces for chipping, there's a couple main things I want you to focus on. The first and most important thing is landing zones or carry distance. I need to be able to land the ball very specifically within the zone that I want to. Now, I'm going to train that in with one club, and it's the club that I would use most often when I chip. For me, is a 56 degree sand wedge. If you use a 60 degree or 58, whatever, that's fine. But I would do this with one club, just a stock shot first. After that, the second skill with chipping is trajectory control. So the ability to hit the ball lower than normal or higher than normal. I'm going to practice that. And then the third one is the ability to hit different clubs. So I like to chip and bump and run with my 9-iron and my 7-iron. You can use whatever clubs you want. I typically like to see at least 2 in that zone. I don't have my 9-iron, but I have a gap wedge and a 7-iron. So I'll make that work. And I'll show you how I'm going to practice that. I'm going to do my block station stuff first. And I'll show you how I do that. And then we'll kind of run through the other pieces how I would normally do it. This should probably be within like a 20 to 30 minute zone is what I'm thinking. Again, as we talked about in the other videos, things for you guys to note outside of just what I'm doing is that I have a plan of action here. I know what I need to do mechanically, why I'm doing it, and I know my plan of what I'm going to do step 1, step 2, step 3. Within that structure, I allow some flexibility based on my results, but I'm not just coming here chipping to random holes. Okay, block station. Now, for a lot of time when I played, I didn't have a block station for my chipping, and you don't need to have one. This can just be a warm-up when you first get down to the chipping green, not even to a target, just middle of the green. For me, I have some issues with how my hands and arms, I get too handsy, in this kind of a layman's terms. So I like to practice a little bit with the ball between my arms, just to kind of chip a couple to warm up with, just some little short ones. So I don't have a set number here. I'm going to probably just chip maybe 4, 5, 6, 10, 4, 5, 6, 10, and until I feel pretty comfortable with it. So if I go and it feels, shitty, and I'm having a hard time with the contact, I might chip 20. If it's really bad and I really don't like the way it feels, I might just do this and one other thing. I might skip some skill stuff. You have to get the mechanical and the contact stuff down first. So that's all I'm doing for my block. Again, I've been doing this. I know what I'm doing. I can kind of roll through it quick. If you just change something with your coach, you're probably doing that for like a while or much more reps. I feel good with that. So first skill is landing zones. We'll use a little, I use a ring to practice, the E-rings here. You can also use a different object, like we use like a towel or a head cover. I like these a lot because they come in, you have different sizes. This is a medium size one, which should give about 3 feet in diameter, I believe this one is. But there's also smaller rings and there's bigger rings. So as my landing zones are closer, I'd use smaller rings. As my landing zones get farther away, I use bigger ones. I'm gonna test myself with this 3-foot ring here to start with. So I usually go either 3 or 5 kind of yard increments. So I'm going to start with 5. No specific rules that you need to do with this. At this sort of zone with where I'm at, I probably stay at this ring until I hit it 3 times. One, 2, 3. I'll kind of go medium zone. You don't have to do it till you get 3 in a row. You can just do it till you hit 1. You can do 3, you can do 5. That's something, again, I'd kind of want a coach to guide you with. It depends on your skill level. How much time? So like, so far, I did that, I had 1 miss out of 7 tries. I'm not always gonna do it that easily. If I'm practicing and playing a lot, it probably is that easy. I'm probably gonna get a smaller circle. If I'm going there and I'm working with someone who hasn't been doing it as much, I'm probably using a bigger circle. If it's super hard, make it a little easier. If it's super easy, make it a little bit harder. Use your common sense with that. This is a medium zone one, so it should be a little harder, I think. You know, if I want to be a little more serious with it as I go, I can track how many total attempts it takes me to run through it. I don't think you need to do that. I think there's certain games where seeing the progress week to week and a number on it's critical. Some people like Mary would like that organization, but you don't have to do that. You can if you want to. You can also just by going through the motions of this and doing it enough and practicing a specific skill, you're going to get pretty good at it. Also note, I'm missing these shots and not like slamming clubs. I'm not changing any kind of huge mechanical stuff. I'm not trying a bunch of different things. This is a hard game. Even if I'm landing close to my zone, but not perfect, if I picked a good, zone on a real shot, it's still going to be pretty close to the hole. So I'm not overly concerned with this yet. Okay. Now, if I was coaching me, I'd say, okay, Eric, you just chipped 4 or 5 in a row that were all short and right. What now are you going to do about it to change it? Well, coach, I'm going to swing a little longer and change my miss. So that was farther. That's good. I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over. That one I mishit a little. My first 2 zones were pretty easy. This one, not as easy, which either means the rules are too hard for me right now and I need to make the game easier and the circle easier, or I just need to increase frequency. I don't think the rules are too hard for me. I think I just need to practice this more. So I'm not going to change the rules here at all. Just short. Okay. So I probably would take that and maybe do one more zone, kind of put another 3 to 5. I typically wouldn't go any more than maybe 20 yards with this because then we start getting into the wedge distance control stuff. So that feels pretty good for me. The contact's good. That was a little bit off, but I'm pretty happy with that. The next skill I want to practice is trajectory control. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. I'm going to do it pretty casual today and basically just kind of check my skills. I haven't practiced as much. So I'm going to do a low shot to each hole in order, the short one, the medium one, the long one, and then I'll do a high shot to each one. I'm not going to do anything in terms of it has to finish within a certain zone or points or anything. If I was chipping, practicing my chipping once or twice a week, I would do this as a warm-up, make sure that it felt good, but then I would definitely do some kind of game with it with points and make it more difficult. All right, so I'm not mad at any of those. If I'm hitting more shots and getting more specific, I'm probably, the first one's probably 6 feet, second one's in the hole, last one's probably 10, 12 feet. I probably want a little more specific than that, but I'm okay with that. I feel good about that. When I'm hitting low shots, I'm really just focused on the ball being back, handle being forward, and then I get my finish, keep that club head low, get my hands far away from my body. That's what I feel. Now I'm going to go on the high shots. Same thing, one to each target. If I feel good about it, I'm done with it. So I'll just kind of reverse it, ball more forward, face more open, more release on the way through. See if I can get the landing zones correct. About the same distance, I'm okay with that. Part of this too has to do with everyone's individual skill set. So my chipping and my trajectory control is usually pretty strong. So when I'm practicing it, I'm putting in enough work to make sure it stays strong. And I'm going to spend a little more time on the things that need more improvement until everything's kind of where I want it. This will be the long one. But if I'm struggling with this, or I feel really good with this and all the other areas feel really good, then I get more specific and more precise with this. But I'm pretty much okay with that, so I'm probably done with that. Now I'm going to do some different clubs. So typically I do my 9-iron and my 7-iron. Same thing, I'm going to go to a short, a medium, and a long hole. When I'm doing my bump and runs, I just want to know that my contact's good and that my distance control is pretty darn good. This is typically a strength for me, so I don't spend a ton of time here. I'm gonna probably do 2 to each target. As I would go farther along with this, I'd make this more difficult on myself and say, I'm gonna go to that first hole and probably till I make one type of thing. Or I have to get a bunch in a row within 3 feet. Like that would be the standard I'd set for my skill level. But relative to this time of year and practice time for me, I wanna just go through and do it. And all those things where I'm making them more difficult, that's all sugar on top stuff. That's all more potential game. You know, the point of this is when someone runs through this, when you guys do this, if you just do the steps, like just do the block station, just do the rings, just do trajectory, just do the bump and runs, you're gonna get pretty darn good. Just do them. So any of the, you know, making it harder or changing the rules, that's all kind of bonus stuff, you know what I mean? So I feel good with that gap wedge for not doing it. I'm kind of done with that. I'm gonna now go on the 7, I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna bump and run, short, medium, and long. See, like that felt terrible with a 7-iron, that's probably 6 feet. And my terrible sand wedge is probably like 15 feet. And again, you know, I'm going through my practice wanting to make sure my mechanics and fundamentals are good, my contact's good. The whole point of my practice is so that when I go play, I score the best I can, for me. That's my point. So in practice, the results of the practice are important, but they're not the most important thing. It's for me to prep to go play. So what do I need to do so that I'm ready to go play golf? I feel as though what I've just done today and where my chipping and my distance control is, I'm ready to go play. There's other areas that need more attention. I'm not going to spend more time here just to check off a box. When I need to hit my driver better, I'm going to go spend more time there. So you have to be, you know, use some common sense with it. You're just trying to prep to play. You want to do better in the practice, but you need to get yourself prepared to, you know, to go. You don't need to grind over your bump and run 7-iron, finishing within 3 feet if you hit your driver 40 yards offline. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to use some common sense. So that's probably what I'm doing there with my chipping now. I don't think it took that long. At this point, I feel good enough where, again, I'm going to try and find someone to chip against, or I'm going to do some kind of competition now where I'm going to say, I'm going to try and get 9 in a row up and down. I'm going to use a different club and I go to a different target on every single ball, and I have to get 9 in a row. I'm not going to leave until I go. That, for me, simulates what I felt when I would play tournament golf. I'm a little kind of nervous about it. I want myself to do good. And if I don't get it, I might be here for an hour or two. So I'm going through my mechanics and my skill stuff only as long as it takes where I feel ready to do a competition or actually go play on the course. If you're newer to it, you got to do more of that, more block stuff, more skill stuff. I don't have to do as much at this point now. It's more maintenance stuff, but that's how the practice would go. So hopefully that makes sense. You guys like me actually going through it so you can see it. That's real, some good shots, some bad shots. That's how I would do it. That's how I would train someone to do it if they came in. So if you have any questions about that, give us a comment down below.